Hi guys, it's Rae with Raes Turquoise Turtle. Today I am starting another new cut project. I'm taking another run at this double-sided adhesive. This is the tumbling blocks pattern. You probably can't see it on here, but hopefully once we get it on the cup you'll be able to see it better. So I did base paint this one. And I have 3 glitters picked out. I have Minty Teal from the It's Pretty Personal Basics line. I have Sapphire, which is a holographic from Glitter Bees, and I grabbed this black. It's Onyx. This was from AC Moore, which is now closed, but it's the finest black I have that doesn't go to tar under a resin. So I'm going to do this for the top block, this for the left side blocks, and this for the right side of the blocks. And I'm just going to try and get my template on neatly. This is cut. It doesn't really matter which way it goes, I don't think, because when you flip it you end up with the same thing. So this should be kiss cut just through the top layer if all went well. So sometimes getting the adhesive or the backing off, getting it started can be difficult. The adhesive likes to stick to the backing, and I feel like it doesn't matter which side I run it through the machine, it does it to me. So getting this applied straight is critical, and it's very difficult. So I don't really have any tips or tricks for that, as much as I wish I did. But I hate the way the seams on these end up. I think I'm going to start... No, because that won't work either. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to start with my darkest color first, which is going to be the black. I'm not going to mark this one off because it's pretty self-evident which ones are which. So... hopefully when I start picking these, you'll be able to see the pattern that's going to emerge. And hopefully they are in fact cut all the way through. I'm gonna first, before I go any further, run this whole thing with my brayer, just to make sure it's really well adhered. Okay. So on this it'll end up being all these top squares, and then it'll be these ones for this layer of color. Try not to lift any of the other ones. So that's going to be the ones that become the black. I'll grab a sheet of paper. Stand back up. So Try and not dump any down where that's lifted a little bit. See, I just don't think I like this adhesive sheet. It doesn't hold the glitter well enough. So I'm going to end up with kind of a inky teal instead of a black because I don't think it'll burnish to these very well. It held a little bit more burnishing it, but not a ton. So I definitely think this paper is a dud. But that's gonna be how the black's gonna look. So I'm gonna run through and do the whole black and then get into the other colors. Okay, so I'm moving on to my Sapphire color. This one I haven't opened yet. So the black went alright. I did have one piece lift on me. That's going to be an issue because I can see black underneath. But looking at the cup from the top, my sapphires are going to be this side. So actually, that's the opposite side of what I was originally intending, so yeah. I was gonna do, I think, this side, the darker side, but that's okay. I'll just make sure I do them all the right way. What I'm really hoping is that the sapphire doesn't start to stick over the black. And it's going to. Fantastic. So this is going to be just like the heart one I did, where it's just going to be a mess. I might be able to brush some of that off when I'm done, but I don't know. I think this style of cup is just not for me. Although it's not terrible. This is why you go darkest to lightest. So if your colors sit on top, it's not, and that'll mostly brush off, so that's good. I might be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the sapphire, and I will be back for the lightest color. So I just want to show you how I'm cleaning up in between colors. I have a ton of black on the bottom here that is just, it's really just static cling to the bottom right now. It'll brush off, but it's staticking to the side like immediately. So I'm just taking a regular old chip brush and just gently brushing it down. And you can see it is taking most of the sapphire back off of the black, which is fantastic because that was my concern. And yeah, it's actually working. I am pleasantly surprised by how good this looks right now. I do think I would get better glitter coverage with a better double-sided adhesive, but over the colored base, this is working much better than it did on the previous one where I didn't color the base. So we're gonna move right on to color number 3, and I don't think this one's quite as fine, so I'm like really hoping it sticks, but no guesswork on what ones come off on this one. The rest of them come off. I'm nervous about this one because it's really not as fine. So I'm not sure it's going to stick as well. But maybe it'll stick better. Who knows? So the most fun part of this cup is going to be striping it. Oh, actually. Alright, that's not so bad. I feel better now. Okay. On with it. The hardest part is going to be pinstriping this because it's got so many small sections. And it's going to depend on how it looks when it's done and sealed and has epoxy, if I stripe it at all or not. If it does get striped, it's going to get a super thin stripe. Some of the designers of these are starting to include an outline layer, but I don't believe there's an outline layer for this one. So that's unfortunate, because then you could just print it and wrap it instead of having to sit there and individually stripe everything. So I will be back when I'm done with this color, just so you can see it before I get it sealed and before I get it under epoxy. Okay, so I have a little Mod Podge ready, because I still have to use Mod Podge because I want to fix the bottom. I'm going to get my catch paper handy. So I brushed this all down again, so it's pretty good. I don't see any major issues. I'm going to do the bottom in that last color I did. So I don't know, I have this baby brush. I thought I was touching up, but I'm not. Hang on. I'll be here all day with a brush that size. Alright. So I know there's still some of that black glitter on here, but lighter color over some of my black at the bottom. God. Let's just admire that for a minute. It actually looks really, really good. So I'm just gonna let the Mod Podge dry at the bottom here. So I'm gonna let that dry. And then at some point here I'm gonna try and spray seal this entire thing. I'd love to run right out and do it right now, but I just don't think I can get away with it. It's so freaking cold. I think the sealer would just freeze mid-air. But I will be back when it is sealed and ready for the epoxy. Okay, so I got this sealed, kind of. I only got like one quick coat on it though, so hopefully it's not gonna run everywhere. But and I've been back and forth on striping this or not. And I think the more I look at it, like you've got two pieces connected, so you only end up with like one side of each that's gonna be a tiny bit. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Like I'll run all of my down ones first, and then all of the two that go this way, and it'll eliminate a lot of the extra striping versus doing it like one piece at a time. So okay, I am ready to start striping this. I did pre-cut some strips to fit close to the diagonal sections, I'm going to start that way. And when I'm done with that, I will change gears and do a different section. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a bottom stripe and a top stripe yet, and I'm not going to bore you and make you watch me do every single one of these. I did cut them roughly to size, so this does have I cut through the backing. So I'm going to grab some kind of a pick. I think I'll go with this little pick here. Try that. This is, I cut these on the blue HTVRONT metallic, so they're not going to be like a crazy eyesore. But, so this is what I mean by the diagonals. Oops. And I did sand this lately, and I just wiped it with alcohol, so it's a little, possibly a little sticky. And it's going to scoot every other row over a little bit, so there'll be a bit of back and forth. And if I didn't cut enough stripes, I'll cut more. I think I cut these at 0.08 or 0.7 because I wanted them relatively skinny. Whoops. Not even close. So this is how the first round is going to look, back and forth all the way around the cup. So I'll be back when I'm ready to move on to the next step. Okay, so I have all of my diagonal pieces around the black done, except for the short ones at the bottom. And I am just going to work on clipping my ends and running the long straight pieces. So and the long straight pieces are the ones that connect and separate the two black diamonds and the color from color. So this is going to be another tedious section, but not as tedious as these little bits are going to become. For the small pieces, it's going to be running one and running one. Oops. So it'll be laying one down that way. And these I'll have to measure to see what size I need to cut them to. But it'll be laying one that way, laying one that way, and then laying a top piece. Ooh. Except that gets one of these ones. My mistake. It'll just be the bottom rows that get a single line. So that'll complete those, the little singles. I know if I had a wrap, it would be quicker, but there apparently isn't a wrap for this one from this designer. If you poke around, you might be able to find a wrap. I know she does on some of her designs have a bonus wrap, but you know, it's not what I got. I just got the file. So, and it actually is going quick. You kind of get into a rhythm and you just keep moving. But once I clean it up, and I did put a brand new sharp blade on my X-Acto knife to make it easier on myself. Cutting all these little bits. But I don't like the way this one laid. I wonder if I can get it back up. Some of them I didn't have quite centered. I didn't know what I was doing yet. But that'll be the full, like this whole section is done. So I'm gonna carry on, and if I come in with a final wrap, it's just gonna be a band around the bottom and then a band around the top, which I probably will do because I want to cover the top rim especially. So I'm gonna carry on, and I will be back to show you when it's ready to go under the resin. Okay, so this is all striped, including my bottom stripe, which you can barely see in the black, and my top stripe you can barely see in the black. I'm kind of watching it come around again as I finish mixing, just to make sure I didn't miss any striping spots. I've looked at it like 12 times, but I figure with my luck, I'll get the resin on and that's when I'm going to see it. So, you know. It does look dull right now, simply because it does have sand marks still. This coat of resin will bring it right back to life. But I kind of feel like I liked it better unstriped. I feel like it looks less like blocks and more like a quilt pattern, and it's kind of trippy when you look at it, because like sometimes it looks like blocks this way, sometimes it looks like blocks that way, sometimes it looks like quilt squares. I don't know. It's a really funky design that kind of messes with my head, but I am really happy with it. So much better than this hot mess. So I will say the paper worked, so I will see if it is available on Amazon. I know so many of them are sold out right now, and I will link it. Just try and make sure, you know, unlike my one square there that was lifting, that when you apply it, your adhesive is like stuck down. Otherwise, you're going to have to touch up that spot with Mod Podge, and then you're going to have one darker spot. So I'm just going to get my coat of resin on, and you can see it bringing that shine right back, and bringing that shine to that metallic vinyl. I'm just going to be careful applying it that I don't lift any of the edges of my vinyl. So I'm going to be more gentle than you're used to seeing from me. I'm not going to put a decal on this right now. I don't know. I just don't want to mess it up with a decal, I guess. So I would have to think long and hard about what would be appropriate or perfect for this. Now, when I cleaned the top, I did sand it back a tiny bit. You really can't see the silver. It's not like a big sand job on the rim, but there is a tiny bit exposed, so I am going to make sure I get a good seal over the top of the vinyl. But man, ain't she pretty? Definitely jump in and try one of these if you haven't yet. I do have some stencil vinyl cut to try, like the Mod Podge method for one. So I promise I will be getting to that at some point. I think I'm going to do the Argyle one, but I think I'm going to do that Dollar Tree vinyl again as like the bottom layer and then glitter over the top. I think this vinyl with maybe navy blue glitter on an Argyle would be pretty. So I think I'm going to try that soon-ish. But now that I've found an appreciation for these, they're something that have been on my radar for a long time. Like, I purchased these templates, other than the Valentine's one, months ago, and just didn't get around to using them. I think I purchased more when I bought the Valentine's one, but like this one I've had for months. So I'm just gonna hit it with a little heat, make sure there's no bubbles, and let it do its thing. But yeah, I am super happy with this. So I hope you like it. I hope you found this one better than the heart one. Even though the heart came out cute, it was just so many mistakes. And this, I did everything right. I base painted. Oop, I'm starting to burn my cup. I base painted. I did darkest to lightest. You know, things I know you're supposed to do. So that is it for my tumbling blocks tumbler. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.